Welcome to Regular Achievers Education Limited, presenting Royal Tutors, your trusted support for brain-friendly, high-impact learning. Today we'll be seeing 15 essential language devices for GCSE English language. Now, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify, explain, and analyze 15 key language devices used by writers to create meaning and emotion. You'll also learn where and how to apply them in your own writing. For language devices are a test of your AO2. For both English language and literature, your assess on your ability to analyze the effect of reader's choice of language and structure. That means you must identify techniques, for example, metaphor or alliteration, explain its effect and link it to the writer's purpose, tone, and theme. In English language paper 1 or 2, you will use language device or devices when analyzing how writer creates mood, tension, or character, especially in paper 2, which asks about language. In English literature, you'll use them when writing essays about poems, plays, or novels to explain how writers present emotions, idea, or theme. So, every time you spot a technique, ask yourself, what emotions or message does it create and how does it make the writer or the reader respond? For today, we will start with the language device simile. Simile compares to now using as or like. It helps a writer shows vivid imagery on emotion by linking one thing to another. For example, he runs like someone being chased by a crazy mother-in-law. This comparison suggests deep desperation, panic, and extreme urgency. Example 2, she is as fierce as a lion on the battlefield, fight as though her life depends on it. The comparison connects human strength to the strength of a lion. In analysis, think about why the writer chose that comparison. What quality are being borrowed to deepen meaning? Metaphor. A metaphor says one thing is another instead of merely comparing. It fuses two ideas into one powerful image. For the fixed example, the classroom is a zoo, and the noise of chattering students are restless moments create an atmosphere of wild, uncontrolled energy. This shows chaos and disorder while extending the metaphor with sensory details. Number 2, time is a thief, and it steals away our precious moments before we even realize they are gone. This adds emotional depth, showing the sense of inevitability and regret behind the metaphor. Metaphor makes writing more imaginative and emotionally charged because they ask the reader to see the word differently. Symbolism. Symbols are objects, colors, or action that represent larger ideas or theme. For example, a white dove symbolizes peace. And Lord of the Flies, the conch. The conch shell symbolizes order and democracy. When it breaks, chaos begins. Symbols are like shorthand for meanings. They connect the physical word of a story to its deeper meaning. Rule of three. The rule of three is when three words or phrases describe one concept or idea. It gives rhythm, emphasis, and memorability. For example, life, liberty, and happiness. Three ideas supporting one concept, freedom. Stop, look, and listen. Three short commands makes the phrase stick. Writers and speakers use this device because our brains love patterns of three. They sound complete and persuasive. Oxymoron. An oxymoron places two opposite words side by side. Its formula is an objective plus the opposite noun of that objective. For example, the ugly princess, cruel angel, kind feline. Oxymoron creates contrast and tension in just a few words, forcing the reader to think more deeply. Juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means placing two contrasting ideas, images, or character close together to highlight their differences. In a way, it's an oxymoron explained but stretched across phrases, senses, or entire character. Example: the ugly princess stood aside her beautiful sister. The ugly princess stood beside her beautiful sister, beg your pardon, but it was her kindness that caught every heart. The cruel angel watched over the gentle child, proving that mercy and malice can share the same sky. Juxtaposition strengthens theme and makes contrast feel more vivid. Pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy is when weather or nature reflects human emotion. For example, the sun smiled as they reunited, and its warmth spread through the air like shared joy. The weather and emotion blends to show happiness and relief. The next example: the sky darkens as tension rose and thunder echoed, the anger building between them. The storm mirrors the growing conflict, turning atmosphere into emotion. Writers use pathetic fallacy to set the emotional tone or foreshadow change, making the setting feel alive with human feelings. Semantic field. A semantic field is a group of words connected by theme or idea. For example, in a war poem, words like blood, wound, scars, and weapon build a semantic field of violence. For example, blood stained the ground, the wound throbbed, the scars burned, and the weapon lay heavy in Abdul's trembling hand. This sentence uses the war-related word to create a vivid image of violence and pain. Personification. Personification gives human quality to non-human things. For example, the wind whispered through the trees, and its gentle voice gave life to the forest, full of secret. Example 2. Time marched forward, and each passing moment felt like a steady drumbeat driving them towards the future. Personification, bridge emotion and environment. It makes abstract or lifeless thing relatable and alive. Emotive language. Emotive language uses words that express emotions like love or hate to provoke a reaction. For example, she looked at him with a special glow in her eyes. The adjective innocent and needless suggest purity and gentleness, helping the reader sense her sincerity and emotional openness. She looked at me with a razor-sharp coldness. The words like betrayal and cold conveys emotional pain and distance, showing how bitterness had replaced warmth. This device is common in persuasive writing. It moves the reader to feel, not just think. Onomatopoeia. What this sounds like what they describe. Example, crash, buzz, whisper. Onomatopoeia helps reader hear the action, making writing more vivid and sensory. It's especially effects in creative description. It's effective in creative descriptions. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of words. For example, the driver or the diver sank into the dark, dangerous depths. The phrase itself echoed the tension and danger of the scene. A soft sound rolled gently through the air. The hard ones struck sharply. This creates a rhythm that matches the mood. Symbolism or sibilance. Sibilance. A special type of alliteration using the X sound. The slithering snake or the snake slithered silently through the grass, and its movement sends a shiver down my spine. I'll take that again. The snake slithered silently through the grass, and its movement sends a shiver down my spine. It can sound sinister or smooth, deepening depending on context. So, the next is hyperbole. Hyperbole means to hype or exaggerate something. Writer uses hyperbole for dramatic or comic effect. I've told you a million times and you still don't seem to listen. It emphasizes emotion, humor, or importance. Now for the last one is the rhetorical question. A question asked to make the reader think, not answer. For example, who wouldn't want freedom? This engages readers directly, often in persuasive writing. Now for my final thought, remember, you're to aim to master 10 of these techniques and understand the rest. In exam, always go beyond spotting them, explain why the writer used them, and what effect they create. Language devices are more than fancy theme or terms. They are the bridge between words and meaning. Master them, and you will not only analyze like a top grade student, you'll write like a real story writer. And with that, we've come to the end of language device. Thanks for watching. See you another time. Bye bye.